Today's still the mediator special at Cannes for the whole week. We're having the best of the market, and today one of the best is Nick Emery from Jellyfish. Hi, Nick.
You're laughing when you say that.
Yeah. So your Jellyfish is part of Brand Tech today.
That's right.
You spent a year rebuilding around AI today. What are the changes today for you and for the clients?
Well, we've spent, this was 2 years ago, actually. But 2 years ago, we spent 12 months essentially rebuilding every aspect of marketing around AI. But also important to note, it's not our first go at this, right? If you go back to the foundations of brand tech in 2015, it was built around machine learning, it was built around disrupting the whole co-model, it was built around a new way of bringing technology to brands. So this is not something we've just discovered. And that's important because companies without that legacy, but built upon technology, but also technology to drive creativity and results and invention, is what we're all trying to do, but it's much easier if you have a new company that you can coalesce technology around. So 2 years ago, some of the genius people at Jellyfish, a guy called Jack Smythe, invented share a model before anybody else invented that kind of looking at agentic. And we started talking to both humans and agents. You know, agents are the most important audience that you're never going to meet, but they're increasingly influential to how brands perceive themselves and how markets perceive themselves, how commerce is driven, how you should talk to people. So we've been doing that for 2 years, but we also looked at CRO agents, CEO agents, social agents, QC agents, but a lot of it built upon Pencil. So Brand Tech acquired Jellyfish at the same time as Pencil, which was a genius move because we brought together both global platform relationships, media, MarTech, creative intelligence with a fantastic technology platform and built around AI. So really it's been accelerating since then and trying to solve that balance for clients between both human invention, agentic invention, results, both big brand ideas and mercilessly efficient workflows.
So today we're talking a lot about in-house agencies. His traditional agencies are done today, or how do you merge from that?
I think traditional agencies are done, right? Because, but some of those services are not done, right? Because although I think AI cannot be overhyped in terms of it is a real sea change to our business. I mean, it always used to be that my favorite quote was that line from The Leopard, which is everything has to change so everything can stay the same. And it was always felt like every new invention was just a rearrangement of what we already had. But I think this is such a substantial change that I think it has. But there is still always in business that balance between the old world and the new world. And clients work at different paces of change. There are certain clients that completely embrace technology and really want to drive the change in their organization and have the metrics to measure that. And there are those that are thoroughly confused about it. So I think traditionally it's definitely dying, it's not dead, right? Because of that. Because there's always a level of conservativeness or reluctance to change in clients that means that world will still hang on for a little while. But what clients do want is progressive clients, which is those are the ones that we are talking to, are prepared to remodel completely. And that's why you're seeing a whole new range of services. I mean, we didn't have forward deployed engineers, did we, 12 months ago? And now there's a whole breed of people that we have suddenly invented that are enabling and transforming AI. And that, I think, is what's interesting about Cannes this year, is that, yes, there's still a talk about AI, but it seems to me a lot of the conversation is about how AI. What is the workflow? What is the process? What's the talent mix? How do I actually make it happen? And that's both in-house and not. So we offer three main models. There's a tech-only model. So if you want to do SaaS, if you just want to buy our technology, we will facilitate our technology to transform your organization. And that might come with an enablement team, it might not. Or there's in-house, and that depends on the range of services. And mostly that's creative content production, strategy, measurement, less hands on keyboard, right? Because the balance of in-house is always efficiencies, close to clients, speed of decision making. But you also want to make sure that you've got the best ideas and the best talent that come from working with a company that's always working with many other clients. And then enterprise clients who want to transform, but inevitably transform at a slower pace. You know, the top 20 clients want to transform, but they find it hard. You know, possible exceptions, well, big exception with clients like L'Oreal, you know, who really are diving into that from the very top of the company in terms of transforming the organization around AI.
Yeah. So you come from Mindshare, was one of the biggest Oracle network. How that experience can change how Jellyfish is going on the market?
I think it's a blend of the two. In that, when I ran Mindshare, I was criticised for not having all the things that Jellyfish has. So, you know, deep MarTech engineering expertise, brilliant platform relationships, great invention, the integration of created data and technology. It's still a global company, still fantastic relationships with all those platforms. And we have that now. But what we don't want to do is replicate that, right? So it's always a balance of having people who can listen to clients and can drive change with clients and bring our best thinking to clients, with still deep vertical product expertise. So it's an evolution of the company, and it's not because the Jellyfish was the most fantastic company before we bought it. It's really about adding scale. It's about seeing round the corner in terms of what's happening next. It's staying, you know, a couple of steps ahead of your competitors, which is much easier to do when you're a private company and you don't have any legacy and you can move so much quicker. I mean, if you look at share a model, Jack came up with the idea of share a model. We all thought that's genius. He put it into our French engineering team, and it was done in a month. Right now, imagine that at a Holker, you just can't do that because it's not that people aren't smart. They are, of course, they're smart, but the invention is not fostered, it's not nurtured, it's not praised, and to get the invention, you have to then take it to somebody who then takes it to 4 other people, who then takes it to a Holker, because you're a CEO who reports to a CEO who reports to a CEO. And they don't want to create technology for one company, they want to create technology for all companies.
Yeah.
Which means by the time you've created the technology, you're 6 months too late. And we have chosen to compete in the most competitive environment in the world. So if you want to be the #1 Gen AI company, which is what we want to be, everyone's in that space, right? Everyone's inventing every second of every day. You know, and we used to say at Mindshare that you have to destroy the company every 6 months and start again because things always evolve. Now we have to destroy the company every minute and start again and continually evolve, continually coalesce. You become a much more kind of organic organism, right, rather than a company, because you're changing and adapting. And because AI is so competitive, you just have to make sure that you've got that constant feed of invention. And then how do you plug that invention into activation and delivery?
Yeah.
And that's always the challenge. But I think what we have now, we have all those constituent parts. Whereas I think in my previous life, we had the scale, and we had the officers, and we had the ability to do everything you wanted to do from China to Indonesia to Peru, but not so much the invention.
Yeah. So you're talking about Cannes and AI. There are a lot of AI announcements in Cannes this year, last year. Like, it's everywhere. How do you separate real announcements from just demos?
Well, you were asked to see the demo. I mean, I think that's the point. But that's why it's the best and the worst of Cannes, right? Because Cannes is brilliant in terms of everyone wants to be creative, everyone's trying to drive change, everyone's trying to look at the greatest technology and produce brilliant work. Now, that work can be big brand ideas or workflows or new technology. That is the very best of Cannes. And if you can dive into that and find something new that is of advantage to your clients, then that's brilliant. The worst of Cannes is the self-promotion, the platitudes, the words, the blah, blah, blah that comes out of people's mouths, and the emptiness of it, and just the emptiness of self-promotion. I think you just have to filter those two. And I think you know, don't you? You know, you interview loads of people, right? So, and you see lots of credentials. And you know, don't you, in the first second, you kind of know this is bullshit, right? And I think it's just be able to discern between those two.
Yeah. So how is the market losing time today?
Is the market losing time?
Yeah, losing time on those announcements.
I don't think the market...
Should we... So every clients or agencies wants to do AI. Do we have to do AI?
Yes, I think you kind of do, right? But it's how you do it is the most important thing, because AI is the most transformative thing in our world right now, right? It can cure all our ailments, it can create the most fantastic things, if it's pointed at the right things, right? If it's pointed at empty vessels, then probably we shouldn't be doing that. But I think, yes, but it's the twin side of it, right? There is the efficiency, and there's the workflow, and there's the mechanics of it, and there's the creating of new jobs like forward deployed engineers and all that kind of thing. And then it's the product that comes out of that and how you measure that product. So yeah, of course we do. But like everything else in life, it is a balance. And it's a balance of human invention and AI ingenuity that brings the two together. But I don't think there's any way you can ignore that. I mean, if we're honest, our business has an existential threat. I know we use that word too often, but in theory, there is nothing that an agency or a whole code does now that a client cannot do themselves. Through all the AI tools that they have. What we offer is insight, invention, creativity, an edge, a way of using it, a way of deploying it, a way of bringing the best of the past with the best of the future. And that's an exciting job to have, but it's a highly pressurized job to make sure you're constantly ahead. But yes, of course, I don't think there's any way you cannot stop that tide, right? We are in it.
Yeah, but I think it's maybe gonna change with the whole the token industry got in AI and the way we can use it and afford it. That's the main question. Maybe the question for next year. Thank you, Nick, for coming here, and have a delightful Cannes then.
It's a pleasure. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you. Welcome to the Media Leader Special in Cannes. We are here by the pool at the MGallery Hotel for the whole week, and we are meeting every personality in the market. Today I'm with James Hunt from CNN. Hello, welcome, James.
Thank you for having me.
First question, you're almost 50 years old, Media. It's quite young. You're kind of born with the platforms and every new habits consumers have. How do you work with that today?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me again. It's great to be here. Well, as you said, we're almost 46 years old now, and I think we, at the time that CNN was founded and launched, I suppose, revolutionized news media in the sense that we were the first major channel and platform to go 24/7. Since then, we've built out our platforms, as you might expect, obviously with linear still playing a really big role in what we do around the world. But we're now across all of the different platforms that you would expect. So on our owned and operated platforms, CNN.com, but we're now in fast channels. We're obviously across all of the different social platforms. And I suppose really that's a reaction to audiences continuing to fragment, consumer habits changing, media habits changing. And so really our job, I suppose, as a global publisher is to go where those audiences are and to continue to provide them with content as they consume it on whatever platform that is. Yeah.
Because today it's really unstable. Everything moves really fast. So how do you keep an eye on that and still be in the race?
Yeah, you're right. I think there's a huge amount of content providers that are out there now. I think we are still one of the sort of global names that people recognize around the world. Absolutely, I think we command attention when there is big global breaking news. There is no doubt that that's what we're known for around the world. But we've also diversified, like a lot of publishers now, into other types of content. So we cover business content, travel content, luxury and style content. And so I think it's, again, just meeting consumers' news. Consumers, obviously our audience is still very much interested in news content, but they're all interested in other things as well. So we continue to reinvent and invest in other types of content that match what our consumers are looking for.
As a media like CNN today, we know as a media as well, there is kind of an issue with the trust people are giving to the media in it.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and we see it as well. I would say, we talked about it right at the beginning of our conversation. We're a 46-year-old brand, and I think we've built, hopefully, a level of trust and authenticity with our audiences over that time. And I would argue that actually today that's probably more important than it's ever been. I think there are I think we were saying there are huge numbers of media outlets now, content creators.
Yes.
Anybody can be a publisher in their own right on social platforms. That's obviously given people an outlet to do that. But I think that's driven misinformation at times, and it's driven. I think organisations like ourselves and other sort of reputable news brands to kind of double down on the fact that audiences come to us because they know that it's verifiable, fact-checked, trusted content. And I think actually in the world of AI, in the world of kind of, synthetic material, this kind of AI-generated content, I think actually news brands and other publishers around the world in many ways I think are going to become more important because audiences are going to need to go to places to get content that they can trust and absolutely.
Mark Thompson, you CEO, target digital revenue like over a billion, even a billion by 2030, I think. How does it change the way CNN goes to market today?
Yeah, so Mark's been with us, I think, now for just over 2 years. Obviously, previously he was at the New York Times, and then obviously Director General at the BBC before that. Yes. He's really ushered in, I think, a transformationary period for CNN where as I said before, we're obviously now across all of the different digital platforms that you might expect, but Mark has really launched a new product for us called All Access that's going to be a direct-to-consumer new sort of mobile digital first product, the way you're going to be able to get the full suite of CNN products on your phone, and consumers will be able to buy directly from us. So it's a huge change. We're looking to roll that out internationally this year with some markets around the world, and we'll continue to push that out. It's another opportunity for us to find ways of going to consumers directly. Yeah. So we're very excited about it. It gives us the opportunity, as I said, to kind of move from our sort of traditional linear base into what we hope will be the kind of premium video-first news provider around the world in your pocket. So yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, and you're trying live events as well.
We are. So last year we launched a new live event series. Of course, CNN anchors and journalists around the world have always been at live events, covered live events around the world, wherever they are. But we felt that actually, particularly our partners, were looking for ways to extend their campaigns with us from, say, traditional media channels into the kind of live space. And so it's really an opportunity for our anchors and journalists around the world to speak and interview people in front of a live audience. We have 2 events coming up this year, one in Bangkok around the IMF and World Bank meetings taking place there in October. And actually just yesterday, we launched a new date for our first event in the Middle East, coming at a very important time for both the region and the world.
Indeed.
And so we'll be doing an event at the end of October in Qatar, where we'll be bringing global leaders from across government and from the corporate sector to a very important meeting to discuss what's next for that part of the world, but also for the world, as we, with all of the troubles that we've seen over the last few months.
Is it important today to doing events at the era where everything is AI or LLMs?
Well, again, I think it's an opportunity for our journalists to have live conversations. I think we've taken the view that we're going to film these events for broadcast quality, so we can use that content, clip it, take it, use it across the full breadth of CNN platforms. But I think to your point, it's what we're finding from partners is that in this era that we're now in, physical connections, the ability to connect face to face has, again, I think, never been more important, particularly for leaders. I think leaders are looking for the opportunity to get together with other leaders to discuss common issues. And so we're finding that a lot of our partners are very interested in this idea of a live experience and how we translate that into outcomes for businesses.
What about the brand content? You got CNN Create. You got 20 years old, I think.
20 years old. Thank you.
How did it evolve, like in 2 decades?
Yeah, we started really as a response to clients that didn't have a kind of a creative solution of their own. Developing, linear TV campaigns for them, helping them, as I said, realize what they were trying to do with us as a partner. That has developed hugely now, and branded content, as I'm sure you're aware, has become incredibly popular and common across brands, across sectors, for a way for them to connect with audiences in an authentic and meaningful way. Many of our clients around the world use our studio to bring their brand to life. We believe in using human-led stories to do this and finding interesting stories and ways of connecting with audiences that resonate with the brand. So we now have a full multimedia studio suite, and the team will manage creative across linear, digital, and social. Now into the live event space as well. And it's a big part of our go-to-market strategy.
Yes.
Clients use us heavily around the world to support, as I said, their communication with CNN.
All right, good to know. Thank you, James, it was delightful conversation. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you again for having me. It's been great.
Great. Have a
Thank
good
you.
can.
Thank you. Bye-bye.